I'm Sarah, and it's time for Coffee and Crochet with Sarah. Well, it's 9:30 a.m. here in the Denver area. I just live south of Denver. And just in case you don't remember, we do our live video chat on our Facebook page, Posh Pooch Designs. You can join us here every Tuesday unless there's something that happens where we're not able to. And usually it'll be a technical issue. But that's okay if you don't get a chance to watch it on Facebook. It'll be saved in the videos down in that section underneath on our Facebook page. Just click videos, it'll be there. The other thing is, if you prefer to watch it on YouTube, after we're finished here, I'll tweak it up a little bit and shoot it on over to YouTube. It usually ends up at YouTube about 12:30 because it takes me a few minutes to tweak it. But for some reason, it takes a little bit longer than that to load on YouTube. So you have a preference there. I love my Facebook friends and I love my YouTube friends. We're all part of the crochet and crafting community. I see some of you already coming in. It's so good to see all of you. I wasn't sure if I was going to get to do a video this week, and it worked out where I am. I'll have to tell you the funniest thing. Last Thursday, I didn't have my granddaughter, and I was confused at what day of the week it was. Her other grandma's here visiting for her birthday. Actually, today is my granddaughter Zoe's birthday. She is 9 years old. Seems like just yesterday I was running up to the hospital because she was being born. So, happy birthday to my youngest granddaughter Zoe today. And the funny thing was, I started posting on Thursday as if it was Friday because I was confused. Unfortunately, I didn't get to have my sister and my nephew come up. He got sick with that stupid virus, and so we'll have to postpone it a little bit. And it made me sad, but I know that we're going to get together later on this year, hopefully around Thanksgiving or something. All right, so before we get any farther on, let's do our clink in. I'm all ready with my coffee. I was going to do iced coffee today. They said we have a heat wave coming through, and it's going to be in the 90s and maybe almost up to 100, which is unusual for us for September. But that's okay. I still like hot coffee even in the summer. Isn't that silly? I'm drinking some wonderful vanilla cream that my son gave me. So clinkety clink clink clink. I hope you all are having some wonderful weather there. I know there's been some issues down south, and there are still fires in California. And so we had just a huge rainstorm that lasted about 30 minutes, but it rained so hard. Our backyard, we live on about 5 acres, a little more than 5 acres, and the back of our yard is all filled. And we had like a river just pouring through the back of our yard. So, I mean, I was like, my husband's like, I think we need to get the fishing poles. There's a lot of water down there. Well, we didn't have to. There's no fish in it. All right, so we got a lot to talk about today. I want to talk to you about our giveaway, and I'm moving some things over here because I want to show you. I remember a couple of weeks ago I told you about a wonderful YouTube channel that I just really enjoyed, and it was called WhirledpeasOO Knits and Crochet. And so she sent me a package this week to thank me and our other YouTubers and Facebookers who watch our video. And so I was so excited. Okay, I cannot wait to show you what's in this package. This is going to be our giveaway along with something else that I'm going to give you as well. All right, I'm going to click down to this other camera so I can show this to you. Okay, so here's the package. Let me move my coffee. You know, I'm clumsy. We don't want to knock that over. All right, so I'm going to take it out very gently. Let me move this because that's part of mine. Okay, so this is what she sent. These are absolutely adorable. She sent one that I can keep and one for you guys for our giveaway. This is a zippered. Here's her tag right there. It's upside down. World Peas Double O knits with a little yarn ball and knit. Isn't that cute? This is a quilted bag with a zipper. Look at the inside. Isn't that fun? I love this one with the pink. Here's a handle. You can hook it on this. I can figure out how to do it. Oh, it just pushes in. Okay. And also down inside, and look at the bottom. It's nice and wide. Beautifully stitched. Beautifully stitched. And also has this little, it can be a key ring, a stitch marker. Isn't that the cutest thing? I love that. All Halloween with the pumpkins. Isn't that just adorable? Okay, this one's all in pinks. Okay, I'm going to put this one inside. And this one's all in oranges. Isn't that just cute? The inside of this one is like a polka dot. It's really pretty. And it has this that matches this for the handle. Isn't that the cutest thing? And it also has a stitch marker or key ring with a cat that says boo. All right, so for our September giveaway, we're going to be giving away one of these bags with the stitch marker or key ring or just a tag, however you want to put that on there. And you can see the bottom is nice and wide. Let's measure this so you get an idea how big this is. All right, here's my tape measure. It's about 12 inches wide. It's about 8 inches high. And the bottom, I wanted you to see the measurement of this because this is a nice wide bag. It's about 3.5 inches. Let me get that back on there. It's about 3.5, almost 4 inches across the bottom. These are beautifully stitched bags. They're gorgeous, quilted, lined, zippered. Okay, now, so what I'm going to do for our giveaway, I'll put these things back inside and then switch back up to our upper camera. And I'll scoot back over here. So what we're going to do is the winner is going to receive one of these bags for our September giveaway. Let me hold them up here so you can see them better. You see them? They're beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous bags. And you can pick. Okay, you can have the one in oranges or the one in, I did that backwards. The one in oranges or the one in pinks. They're both absolutely gorgeous quilted zippered bags. You'll also get that stitch marker or tag, whatever you want to do with it, and the handle that you can clip on. These are perfect project bags that you could slip right inside your purse. Okay, now you'll get to pick pink or orange. I'm sorry, I'm going to say pink or blue. I'm thinking babies. You can pick either the pink one or the orange style. Okay, I'm hoping you'll pick the orange because I really want the pink. But I'll give it to you if you want it. All right, so you'll get one of these bags, and then you'll also get one of our new Coffee and Crochet zippered pouches. This pouch will fit right inside this one. You could put your scissors and crochet hooks and stuff in this one and slide it inside this one. Put your stuff in there, and you're ready to go. All right, so we did get these listed on Etsy if you want to buy one. We added this little hook on here so that you can hook it onto your project bag if you want to hook it on the handle. And then it also has a little marker or tag there with the pom-pom or a tassel. I always call them tassels because my grandmother called them tassels, but it's a tassel. Okay, so that's what our giveaway is for September. You'll get one of these gorgeous quilted bags from WhirledpeasOO knits with the tag on it with the little ball of yarn. Isn't that adorable? And you'll get one of my bags also. Isn't that fun? All right, I wanted to do something different for September, and I was going to give away one of these bags with something else. But when she sent these in, I was like, we're going to do it this week. These are gorgeous. They're perfect because they're fall and Halloween inspired. Oh, they're just so gorgeous. All right, now remember, you can choose either one you want. Please choose the orange one. All righty, now make sure that you go over to her YouTube channel and thank her for offering this giveaway. And that's WhirledpeasOO knits. And I'll put that link down in the notes under the video. I'll also post it again on our Facebook page when I'm done here because I don't want to forget that. All right. All right, so that's our September giveaway. Isn't that neat? I just love that. I think it's just super cool. All right, now what we're going to do next, I'm going to scoot up here to my notes. I'm going to grab my coffee, take a little sip. I get emails, messages all the time about how can I be a more consistent crocheter, or how can I have more confidence in crocheting, or how can I be better or faster. Okay, and I've got 10 things here that I want to share with you that will help you be a better, more confident, and enjoy crocheting a lot more. Okay, so the first thing is, oh, I threw my tape measure up there. That's number one. As you're crocheting, sometimes we get frustrated, right? And the very first tip I'm going to tell you is get a tape measure, okay? Tape measures are so important because you need to measure everything as you go. If a pattern says that you're going to have a 10 by 10 square and yours comes out to be an 8 by 8, then you need to make some adjustments. But if it's okay if it's an 8 by 8, you don't care, that's fine too. You don't always have to do things exactly the same size as the pattern designer. What the pattern designer is telling you is that's how theirs turned out, and you can adjust it if you want to. All right? A hat, for instance. I made this hat. It's way too big. Did you measure as you were stitching? Don't stitch a whole hat and then get mad because it's 5 rows too long, and it hits you in the chin or something. Okay, that's too frustrating. Measure the hat as you go. And also remember, everybody's head's a different size, and everybody likes to wear their hats differently. I like mine to be a little bit loose. Some people like theirs to be a little snug. And so you can adjust that accordingly. All right, we'll talk about that in just a second. But the first tip I'm going to give everybody who ever asks me is to get a tape measure. And don't just get one, get about 100. I have about 20 of these. I have them in all my project bags. I have them in, every room where I have crochet stuff. I have a little area in my bedroom when I'm up late at night watching TV. I have my area downstairs by the computer where I work on patterns and things like that. I have tape measure there. I have them in my project bag. Tape measure. Tape measure, tape measure. Measure, measure, measure as you go. Okay? Measure as you go. It'll save you tons and tons of frustration. All right, that's tip number one. Tip number two, stitch markers. Stitch markers are your friend. Okay? When you're chaining a really long chain or doing a really long foundation, double crochet, half double crochet, whatever your foundation is, instead of continuing to count those whole row of stitches, mark it every 10 or 20 stitches. Then you know you don't have to keep counting those stitches over. Also, it helps you to mark stitches of placement. Sometimes you're working on a V and you may just have a chain one in that V, but you're working like this. You can mark that V and that will tell you you're right on track. These are things that can help you by marking your stitches, marking your counts, marking your rows. Sometimes it's difficult to know how many rows that you made. And one thing I used to do, probably 40 something years ago, I didn't have any stitch markers way back then. And I would cut 10-inch pieces of yarn in a different color than what I was stitching because I was learning just to stitch rows. And so what I would do, if the pattern said stitch 20 rows of single crochet. And so I would stitch 5, and then I'd take my crochet hook and loop in a piece of yarn. Then I'd stitch 5 more rows, and I would also mark that on my pattern because I would print them off, because back in those days, I got my patterns from the library. I would go to the library, pay that 10 cents, and copy them off. Okay? So, back in the day. But by marking every 10 rows, you know I've done 10 rows. I've done 10 rows. I've done 10 rows. And you won't get off that way. And, I mean, you might sometimes if you count wrong. I mean, we're only human, right? But stitch markers are your friend. Okay, so that's tip number 2. You don't have to have exact stitch markers. You can use paper clips. Safety pins. I like to get the safety pins that don't have the curl in the end. They're just rounded. You can find those over in the jewelry department. I like to use those sometimes, but if you don't have anything to use for a stitch marker, you can always just use a piece of yarn that's a different color. All right, the third thing is, this to me is really important. When you're working a brand new pattern, read through the entire pattern. Read through all the stitches, read through all the materials, read the notes. The notes are very important because it'll tell you if a double crochet counts as a stitch, or if how you join with a slip stitch or join with a single crochet. It'll tell you how to change, if you need to change colors and where. For instance, if you're doing a circle and your next row is blue, it'll tell you to chain 3 after the color change because that first chain 3 counts as a stitch and things like that. Read those notes, okay? And then read through, I mean, you don't have to read it word for word, but get an idea, especially if there's pictures. That helps you a lot. Not all patterns do, not all mine do have pictures, but we're working on getting more pictures. You can see those pictures and you can read that pattern. You know, it'll tell you how many stitches each row should have, you know, things like that. Just read through it, get familiar with what you're supposed to be doing. That will help you a lot, okay? The other thing is when you're watching a video, and the thing is, I get questions all the time that are answered in the first 2 or 3 minutes of the video. What yarn did you use? What hook did you use? Can I use this hook or that yarn? And all that stuff is in the first 2 or 3 minutes of the video. So go ahead and watch the video for a little bit, get an understanding of what the designer's doing in the video, and that will help you as well, okay? That is just being prepared, all right? Now, the other thing is, when we're talking crochet patterns, is that some patterns are written in U.S. terms. Some patterns are written in UK terms, and they're not the same. So do yourself a favor, go to the Crochet Guild of America, or just get on Google and look up a chart. And then copy and paste it and print it off and have that chart handy. Because even places like Ravelry and All Free Crochet and a lot of other places, Pinterest, have crochet patterns in both US terms and UK terms. And different countries do them different. And so it's a good idea to know if that pattern is written in US terms or UK terms. And having that chart, what you can do is, say there's this beautiful pattern, but it's in UK terms. You can go through that pattern and make a little note where it says one thing, do this, not this. Okay, and that will help you along the way. All right, so know that difference. It's really important. There's a lot of beautiful, wonderful patterns that are written in UK that you think, oh, I just can't do that. I don't understand. No, 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 you can do it. Just get you a chart and mark that pattern. Print it off. Don't mark it on your iPad. Just kidding. I use my iPad most of the time. All right, the other one is to know you. Know if you are a tight crocheter or a loose crocheter. Okay? I tend to crochet looser, and so maybe my measurements don't equal up with yours. And if you know that a person is like that, you say, well, every time I stitch so-and-so's patterns, they come out too small. And every time I stitch another person's patterns, they come out too big. And so that's where gauging can come in handy. Making a swatch can come in handy. I usually don't make a swatch for a small project. If I'm going to do a large blanket or something, I probably will, just to give me an idea of how my pattern compares to that pattern, or how my stitching compares to that pattern. So know you, know how you stitch, okay? and again, measure as you go, and then you will know and know how to adjust. Okay, so what do you do if you're stitching too tightly? Okay, I got 2 crochet hooks here. Okay, if I stitch, the pattern calls for an H, and I'm stitching way too tight and it's not coming out right, go up a hook size. If I'm stitching with this I hook and it's coming out way too loose, go down to an H. Or sometimes you have to go down to 2 or 3 hook sizes, depending on how tight and how loose you stitch. And keep that in mind. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten an email and it says, you're a terrible pattern writer because your measurements aren't right. And I'll say, did you make a swatch? The first questions I ask is, what hook did you use? What yarn did you use? And I cannot tell you how many times I have a medium weight number 4 pattern with an H or an I hook, and they'll tell me they used a light number 3 and a G hook. Well, it's not going to come out the same. You used a lighter hook, a smaller hook and a thinner yarn. So keep that in mind, okay? All right. Now, another thing to know is we're so into this getting it done quickly. And the thing about crochet, it is, in my opinion, a little quicker than knitting, but we still need to understand that if we crochet quickly, the more mistakes we may make because we're trying to get it done in a hurry. And I've been there. Baby shower's coming and I haven't got this blanket finished and I've got to get it done in 8 hours. That happens. But the thing is, we need to take our time, because when we rush, it does affect our gauge and our tension. And I've been watching a movie with my husband before. There was one of them. It had to do, I think it was like Tom Cruise and the End of the World or something. I can't remember the name of the movie. It was a good movie, okay? But it was intense. And I had that hook and I was like, during the intense parts. And then when it would slow down a little bit, I would go back to my regular gauge. And then I'm looking at this. I was making a dish towel. And I'm looking at this dish towel and it goes like this and like this and like this. And it wasn't supposed to. And so what we're watching, what we're doing, what's going on in our life can affect our gauge. And so we need to keep that in mind. Take our time and check our gauge. All right. Now we're going to come back to this other one, but I want to skip down to this next one. Counting your stitches. I've had people tell me all the time, I don't like to count. I just do it. And I get you. When I first started learning to crochet, I measured everything. I didn't go by stitch counts at all. I went by measurements. And there are a lot of people that are, okay, I just flipped coffee all over my lap. There are a lot of people that are my age that's the way they learned, okay? I've been crocheting for over 40 years now, about 43 years. And when I first learned to crochet, I was young. I was a young teenager. And I learned from a book that you measure everything. And I did. And I didn't, I'm sure the book told me to count stitches, but I didn't. And so I would just measure. And I would do as many stitches as it needed for that. And I learned how to just adjust patterns and things like that on the fly. And so counting stitches wasn't important to me then. But as I've gotten more and more into crochet, as I got older and was doing more intricate things, I realized counting is very important, because some stitch patterns will be off if we don't have the right amount of stitches. And so that's very important. And back to using the stitch markers, you can count your stitches that way, mark those stitches. If a pattern says you should have 10 shell stitches and you've only got 9, you need to make sure you've counted correctly or skipped correctly and things like that. So that is very, very important, is to count your stitches, count every row. And if you end up doing a pattern, you're like, I've done this for ages. This is a super easy pattern. I have no problem at all. And then you get going and you're like, why is my pattern getting wider, or why is it getting thinner or something? It's because you didn't count your stitches. And it's not that it's a newbie thing. Everybody, no matter your skill, needs to count stitches. And you may not need to count every row, but just, keep track. Because there's nothing worse than thinking you're done and then you look at something and you're like, oh my word, I've got to frog 45 rows, I've done it. All right, so count. I want to go back to this one. I skipped over it because I wanted to put those two together. Number 7 is, if you become frustrated with a pattern, set it down for a while. I've had people message me through Ravelry, through, Facebook and, Instagram, and they're like, I'm so frustrated with this pattern. Although there's a lot of Saras out there, and sometimes they're not my pattern. I had this one woman send me this most horrible email one time, and I'm like, I don't even know what this pattern is. I've never worked this pattern as well. It's one of yours. I'm like, no, it's not. And then she sends me the name, and the first name was Sara, and it was spelled Sara, but the last name was not Sach. I did help her through it, though, because I looked at it, and basically she was reading it incorrectly. And that happens. We're only human, right? Okay, so If you become frustrated with a pattern, set it aside. One of the things that happens sometimes is we as crocheters, we overthink the pattern. We think and we think there just can't be right. It's not working out. Sometimes our brains, we're human. Set that pattern aside for a little bit, okay? And I always call it put it in the naughty corner or put it in the naughty basket and then come back to it in a couple of days. Sometimes you can work it out yourself and go, oh, there was a chain one there, or oh, there were, 3 double crochets there or something, you can work it out. But try not to overthink the pattern. And if after it's gone in the naughty corner, you still can't figure it out, contact the designer of the pattern. I tell people this all the time. I get messages all the time, and sometimes they're just simple little things that we can figure out together. And I have helped other people with other people's patterns, but I really encourage you to contact the designer of the pattern. Every designer writes differently. I've got some patterns by this one designer. I love her work, but her work is too wordy. And you have to read through all this other stuff just to get to the pattern instructions. And I don't like that. It's just my opinion. I love this designer. Her patterns are wonderful, but I don't want to have to read through all this stuff for them to tell me chain one and turn. You know what I'm saying? The reason we did this, blah, 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 I don't want to do that. When I write a pattern, I try to keep it as simple as possible. I try to give you as much information as possible, but also just keep in mind, I'm only human and so are my testers. And we can use all the grammar corrections and spell checks that we can, but that doesn't always work on a crochet pattern because grammar doesn't, we're not really using whole sentences and things. And so if you come across something, feel free to email me. We'll look over it. I'll send it over to a couple of my testers or something, and we'll see what's going on. Sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, I rush. And sometimes I'll miss a chain one or something. And I don't mind you letting me know, because we want to fix it if there's an issue. All right. We talked about counting your stitches. And again, number 9 says, don't be afraid to ask questions. Okay. And I've already talked about this up here to ask for help. But this is so important. Sometimes I will write a pattern out and I'll put a picture there and it looks totally right. My testers have read over it. They've worked the pattern. It looks right. And then 2 days later, I'll look at it again and go, that didn't even make sense. Or I put the word and in there twice. Or I spelled the word the, H-E-T or something, So just remember that. Keep that in mind. But still, ask questions. Okay? Now, number 10 is important. Because it's practice, practice, practice. And I'm going to tell you, even the most advanced crocheters who think they're experts will tell you when they start learning a new stitch, practice, practice, practice. It'll build confidence. And the more confidence that you have in your art and in your crochet, the more willing you are to learn new stuff. And I say this all the time, and those of you who followed me for a long time know this. Crochet is an ever-growing and changing art. It is art. Because we're creating art. We're creating a canvas of yarn. And so it changes constantly. New stitches. And one of the things that cracks me up hilarious is someone will say, I invented a new stitch. And they're like doing something that's like from a book. I never tell them I don't. Because, there were times I thought I did the same thing. So, okay? So, practice, practice, practice. Practice, to me, our goal is not to be perfect. It's to be confident. Because I believe that, it's okay to have a little bit of a mistake in everything you make, or a little bit of a maybe something special or different. Don't worry about being perfect. I know there's a lot of perfectionists out there. My daughter is a perfectionist. She's more towards the technical when it comes to crochet, where I'm more artsy-fartsy, I've always been an artist. I've always drawn, painted, colored, created things ever since I can remember. That was my thing. I was never into all the other stuff. I just wanted to be an artist. And crochet is my, when I crochet something, it's like painting with string, with art, with yarn. And that's why I love yarn so much. It's my medium, you know. And so that's what you need to remember. Oh, hi, Elizabeth. My daughter's just clicked in there. Hi, Elizabeth. I love you. But she is. She's a lot more technical and a lot more perfectionist than I am. Okay. Boy, I got called on the carpet, didn't I? All right, so that's the 10 things that will help you be a more confident crocheter. All right, and these are great things. They're great things, not hard to remember. But if you want to remember them, I'll put them on the blog, as well as I'm going to also list these on underneath the YouTube channel in the description box. All right, now, the next thing we're going to talk about is what's new this week at Posh Pooch Designs, and I found a new yarn for an old project. Now, I have a video out there that is it's called Lovey. And what it is you make a hole and you make the lovey, and then you can slide a Beanie Baby or another stuffed animal up inside of it. Well, the yarn that I originally used for it is no longer available. And so I went to Michael's. I didn't find anything I liked there. I swung by Hobby Lobby, and although I liked some of what they had, it wasn't what I was looking for. So I ended up going to Walmart, and y'all know I worked for Walmart a lot of years, and it's not my favorite store to go to. It just really, it's this Walmart in our location here in Park Ridge. Anyway, we're not going to go there. But I walked through there, and I found this yarn, and this is a mainstay yarn. And I want to put it over here in my other camera real quick, just so you can see it up close. It is a bulky 6. Can you see that? It's got pinks and blues and greens and yellows. It's so pretty, and it's perfect for what I'm going to do. I don't remember what I paid for it. It's a bulky 6, 100% polyester, 33 yards, 4.6 ounces. And I think I can get the whole levy out of one skein, but you know me, just in case, I bought 2. And so I really love it, and it's going to be for I think it's called Fuzzy Baby Lovey or something like that. I can't remember. But I had someone say, well, I can't even find the yarn you made that out of anymore. And the video is, I think, probably 5 years old when I first started doing videos. And so we're going to make this also. The person that contacted me is wanting to make it for a baby shower gift, but she's going to make 2. She's going to make one for the new baby and one for the 5-year-old who's struggling with the new baby. So it's a really neat idea. When I made the No Worry Baby, remember the No Worry thing I made that to go in that levy as well. And so this will work for that as well. All right, now, what did we do this week? Whew, we got a lot to talk about today. All right, so yesterday we did the little ghost coasters. You can also make these into a bunting. A lady contacted me. She goes, well, what do you do with those? You put your coffee cup on them. They're fun for decorating. You can do scary or happy or scary. So they're a lot of fun. Super easy, super quick thing. And then Friday we did the harvest bunting in the Friday Fun Day with Sara. I've got one behind me there. I don't know if you can see it. It's in the light colors, and then this is the harvest colors. And I got it all straightened out because I wanted to have 2 solids in between. I'm not holding this correctly. There we go. Okay. And it turned out really, really pretty. and these are just something fun to decorate with. You know, nothing fantastical. It's just a bunting. Super fun, super easy to do. And you can do them in any colors. I think I'm going to do some in my Christmas sparkle yarns. I think it'd be really pretty. And it's super easy. Then we also did, behind me, let me click over to that roaming camera so you can see that. This is our warm spice cowl that we did. It was kind of an interesting thing. A lady said she wanted to do cowls for all her family, but she didn't want anything with ruffles or anything with buttons or anything, just striping in some fall colors, because she wants them for the guys and the girls, and they're going to go up into the mountains and take pictures for fall. And so I thought this was perfect. I used 2 different colors. They're Hobby Lobby colors. I think it's called Autumn Stripe is the stripe, and then the solid is called Burnt Orange. I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby. I think it turned out beautiful. And the thing is, it's just a V-stitch with a trim. And if you want them longer, you just add more rows. If you want it to be a tighter fit, do less rows. Super easy pattern, striped every 2 rows. And so that works out really good. For whether you're a guy or a girl or a young child, it works because you can adjust it. All right, so I'm going to let you go. But before we do that, remember, you need to comment on Facebook, on this Facebook video or the YouTube video to be let in to win one of the quilted bags. Remember, you're going to get a quilted bag and one of my zipper bags. Please pick the orange one. Okay, also, this Friday for Friday Fun Day, you need to find a old long sleeve sweater, because we're going to do a little repurposing of a sweater. And you are going to need your crochet hook, an H probably, but I haven't decided yet because I'm still working on it. But for Friday Fun Day, find an older sweater. Go to Goodwill, Salvation Army. Check your husband's closet or your daughter's. You're not going to wear it, so it doesn't matter the size. The main thing is it needs to have long sleeves and a band around the waist. Okay? So for Friday Fun Day, we need an old sweater. And you know, if you have a sweater that, if you're like me, you spill coffee right here all the time. The sleeves on the sweater and the band around the bottom are still good. And we're going to repurpose that for our Friday Fun Day with Sara. All right, I'm going to let everybody go now. We went just a wee bit long. I tried to keep them right around 30 minutes, and we went over a little bit. But thank you all for being with me today. And remember, I can't do this without all of you. I'll see you next week.